Hello everybody, my name is Christian, and today we are going to be talking about who are the least free-to-play friendly characters in Star Rail. I should also mention, I'm only going to be talking about main DPS for the most part, so shout out to all my Blade fans, you are once again not getting discussed in this video. I am so sorry. So, first and foremost, we're going to be starting from the top over here, and I'm going to be kind of talking as I look through. In terms of least free-to-play friendly, I think it's safe to say at this point, Acheron has probably gotten herself into that range. Now, I want to clarify. As per usual, I always have to make this distinction. I like Acheron. Acheron's a good character. That doesn't mean that she doesn't piss me off, though. And the investment needed on Acheron is a lot nowadays. First of all, you have Jiao Cho and Pela. One of the characters is free, the other one is Jiao Cho. Not to mention, if you're just running Jiao Cho Pela with Acheron nowadays, you're probably not gonna easily clear content unless your other team is really good. If you are using this as your primary team, like this is your sweeper team, that investment is not enough nowadays. You're either gonna want either A, E2 Acheron or above, or B, you're going to want to substitute out Pela, and you're going to want either Tribby, Sparkle, or Sunday. It doesn't matter if you don't have E2 at that point. The damage that you're going to get from these buffers is just so much more valuable at this point that, honestly, that's the more important way to go. And let's keep in mind, all three of those options I just listed are once again premium characters. Realistically, you could do Bronya, but her damage output and her damage buffs are not gonna be anywhere near the level of what Sunday, Sparkle, and Tribby provide. It's kind of unfortunate, but that's just how things are at this point. Acheron's just not that friendly, and it really is a shame considering how much of a fun character she is, and how cool she is, but that's just life. So, moving on from Acheron, yeah, honestly, it's a shame we even have to talk about this, because everybody knows at this point. But Aglaya. Aglaya might be the least free-to-play friendly character in this entire game. So, let's talk about what your free team would look like. We'd be looking at Remembrance MC, you're probably going to want Ting Yun, and then, more than likely, a fast Gallagher with Quid Pro Quo. Now, this is still an okay team. However, the energy regen that you're getting off of this team is, truth be told, just not enough to actually make up for what you need to keep Aglaya working. So at this point, you're probably going to need an energy regen rope on Aglaya, which means you're going to be sacrificing probably like 500 points of attack. You're really going to be nerfing your personal damage at that point. I remember watching a video by Brax whenever Aglaya initially came out, and ultimately, this character really does struggle to keep up if you don't have those optimal teammates. And those optimal teammates, they're all 5 stars. Yikes. Aglaya's best team, realistically, is going to look like Sunday. You're going to want Huohuo. And last but not least, Robin. Remembrance MC can be subbed in. I want to clarify that. Remembrance MC can be subbed in pretty easily for Robin specifically. You want Sunday at all costs, and you want Huohuo at all costs. They are the most important characters to this Aglaya team. Without those characters that I've just listed, there are very, very other few choices that can really work with Aglaya. You're not going to be getting the best out of her. You're not going to be finding anything else that will really be a positive to that team. Aglaya, as much as I love her, she is easily the least free-to-play friendly. The only way I can make her work personally without Sunday is I have E1, which regenerates more energy. If you don't have that, you're going to be sweating bullets, or you're going to have to nerf her damage, and that's just not fun. So, going through the line here, don't really have anything to say about Argenti. He's fine. We're not talking about Blade. Also, he's Blade. Not really a lot of investment there. Here we go. The next character I think kind of warrants talking about is going to be Dan Heng Imbibitor Lune. The reason Imbibitor Lune is so unfree-to-play friendly, if you want to make him work, you need Sparkle. Those additional skill points that she offers are invaluable to Imbibitor Lunae. He absolutely needs them. He consumes so many, and without any Eidolons or anything, you're going to be going through them very, very quickly, and Sparkle is the only character in the game who can really make up for that. Obviously, having a fast sustain so that you can try and farm skill points, once again, going to be helpful, but even then, he just burns through them so unbelievably quickly, especially when he's going to get action advanced. Just the way the entire team works, it's going to be difficult. On top of Sparkle, your other teammates can vary at least a little bit, so you might want something like Tribby, Ting Yun. Your sustains can kind of range for a little bit. The reason I put him on this list is just because of that essential need for Sparkle specifically. Nothing else is really gonna come up to snuff with this team, and that's just kind of what you gotta deal with. There are gonna be plenty of other characters who are good for Imbibitor Lunae, but they're not Sparkle. They're not gonna be those extra skill points. It's as simple as that. So moving on, we're actually gonna be talking about a character in a very similar vein, Jing Yuan. Jing Yuan is a very old character. It kind of feels rude to kind of, target the old man again. However, Jing Yuan, because he's an old character, he needs a lot of help to kind of get up to where the meta demands. And that means that there's going to be very specific characters that he needs to function. At this point in time, if you are playing Jing Yuan without Sunday, you are wrong. Sunday is so important to what Jing Yuan does, especially since the Lightning Lord is wildly inconsistent. The Lightning Lord cannot be relied upon, and with Sunday, the Lightning Lord is actually the consistent extra source of damage that Jing Yuan needs to be great. Without Sunday, you're losing that, you're losing your consistency, and more importantly, you're just losing a lot of extra damage. On top of this, the other characters that you're kind of going to be looking for Jing Yuan is going to be, once again, Huo Huo, because that energy regen is super important. Not to mention, his ultimate can help a lot with the damage, and with getting Lightning Lord kind of where it needs to be. And in your other slot, well, once again, it kind of starts varying a little bit from there. I would mainly recommend somebody like a Tribby or a Jiao Cho, but reasonably, you can try somebody else. Jing Yuan just doesn't really offer a lot of leeway with these teams. And again, Sunday is essentially irreplaceable for Jing Yuan if you want him to actually be decent nowadays. All of this combined kind of just leaves him in a really awkward spot. There isn't a lot of freedom with what he does. There isn't really a lot of diversity in the game you can kind of play with Jing Yuan. And that's just unfortunate, but as an older character, it does make sense. He's extremely limited by what the game was, and nowadays there are so many characters that can overlap him that if you don't have these specific characters to make him work, it makes sense that he would fall off. No, it doesn't. Power creep sucks, but that's not the point of the video, okay? What else am I gonna do, right? Alright, moving on. As we move forward here, many of the other characters, truth be told, are actually not too bad, or quite simply, aren't really worth talking about. Like, let's look at Mighty, for example. Mighty does want very specific characters. He's gonna want Sunday, he's gonna want Tribby or Jiao Cho, and he would like Huo Huo or Luocha. However, when we really look at it, it could be worse. You can substitute one of those defense shredders with Pela. You can get a free Luocha right now, which means that is a free character you can access for him. And while Sunday is very helpful, yes, he can work with the other action advancers. It's actually not gonna be like the Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae case where, yeah, you need Sparkle, or you want Sparkle above every other option. No, Mighty can actually work with a Baranya with a Sparkle. You're gonna lose out on some of that damage, but it's not absolutely essential like it is for some of the other characters. The same thing can be said of Jing Yuan. Jing Yuan absolutely needs Sunday. Mighty wants a character. Mighty does not need a character to really excel at what he does. So while yes, a lot of his options are going to be premium, it's nowhere near as bad as these other characters. He's more in the middle-ish range where he can be difficult to kind of build around, but also he does offer some leeway just because how he works. The same can be said of break characters like Rappa. I would personally still argue Firefly is very free-to-play friendly to build, considering you have Harmony MC, you have Gallagher, and you can get a free Ron May. All in all, Firefly can be really, really good without that much investment on your part, besides just going to get the frickin' character when they come up. That's it. Go into that shop, spend your little golden token, there you go, bada boom. You got the perfect Firefly team, am I right? The only other character who might be kinda worth talking about, and once again, I say kinda purely because older character, we don't want to knock them too hard, but they're old. It is going to be probably Zila. Now, Zila has actually seen a bit of a resurgence into the meta, not among the player base. I want to clarify, not among the player base at wide. However, she has done well in the last few MOCs because they've been providing smaller targets for Zila to proc her resurgence off of, and to set up for bigger hits on the main boss. These two last examples were Nikador and the Flame Reaver, and Zila players actually managed to figure out how to get that character to freaking work. The thing is, though, is that, once again, you're gonna want pretty specific characters. You can make her work with, like, once again, a Gallagher with Quid Pro Quo, or you can make her work with just RMC. Actually, RMC is still one of the better choices just overall. RMC is a very good character. Did you guys know that? I hope you guys knew that. But still, you're gonna mainly want like either a Sparkle or a Sunday. In most cases, probably a Sunday at this point because of the extra crit rate and just a better action advance than the 50% that Sparkle provides. On top of this, you're also almost always gonna want Robin, because Robin is super, super good and increases the overall damage that Zila is capable of hitting. Now, once again, this one isn't as atrocious, but it's also because A, my Zila knowledge is lacking, B, not enough people are really using Zila besides like Zero Cycler, so it's really hard to get a proper feel of the investment for the character. But overall, right now, in this moment, she just does not feel very free-to-play friendly. And the worst part is, she's not even getting buffed. They've opted to buff all the Stellar Run Hunters in Jingliu, which, to be fair, I personally appreciate, as somebody who has Kafka, Jingliu, and Silverwolf. But Zila is just in an awkward spot right now that's really hard to personally understand, just like always. So, we're kind of just going to leave her here. I think it's harder to make her better than not without really premium teammates. I could be completely wrong. I know the Zila players will let me hear it regardless, so I think it's best to just drop it there. With that said, this list, I expected this to be significantly longer. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I really expected this to take much longer. And it's funny, I was thinking of doing all the characters and how free-to-play friendly or how un-free-to-play friendly they were, but I decided to just do one half of that today, and truth be told, I probably should have done all of them. It's one of these things that makes you think that you don't really notice it until you actually do this, but a lot of the characters are a bit more free-to-play friendly than you would think, especially with how many free characters Star Rail has given us. Like, let's look at somebody like, let's touch on Boot Hill first. Boot Hill. The way Boot Hill works is that you're gonna want to absolutely shred enemy weakness bars to really get the best out of him. The thing is, though, is that if you have somebody like Ron May and Fugue, that's going to be infinitely easier, not to mention the access to Super Break. However, let's think about this. You get a free Ron May now, or you can get a free Ron May now. Not to mention, another good teammate for Boot Hill has been Bronya, not because of the buff she gives, but purely because of the action advance she does. It allows Boot Hill to stack Pocket Trick Shot even faster, get to his action faster, and just do more damage. The damage overall from Bronya, that damage buff, doesn't matter, so you don't need somebody like a Sunday or a Sparkle. And let's once again keep in mind, we got a free 5-star from Star Rail. And there's also the standard selector if you haven't unlocked that yet. All in all, and going even further, Boot Hill doesn't need a specific sustain. Like, Ling Sha would be cool, but also, Gallagher's fine, Fu Xuan is fine, Woho is fine. It's interesting how this works, and Fugue is a really, really good character for Boot Hill. I do want to clarify that. If you have Fugue that's going to be amazing for your team over some of the other options. However, it's not essential. And that's the important thing. It's nowhere near essential. Because also, if you want to play Harmony MC for your Super Break instead, that's fine. What Fugue provides is way more than Super Break because it allows Boothill to get all of his pocket trick shot out almost instantly. But still, it's not essential because you can do a Ron May Harmony MC boost, and there you go. And then we move on to even somebody like Castorus, who's the newest DPS in the game. And that one is very interesting. Castorus on paper seemed like a character who would be insanely not free-to-play friendly. And I do want to clarify, she's not perfect in that regard. However, she's nowhere near as bad as I thought she would be. And honestly, who she can work with was personally surprising. She does have more specific sustains that she would like, as she can't really make as much use of shielders. But you can use Gallagher, or you can get Luocha, who you could have gotten for free. For your supports, RMC is free. Or you can use Ron May, who you could have also gotten for free. Not to mention, there's also Pela, another free-to-play character who works very well with Castorus. Yeah, you would rather have a Tribby, but you still have a great option available, and it's not going to be the end-all be-all without it. Especially since you have a Ron May or an RMC who's going to work very well too. There aren't nearly as many options for Castorus, but a lot of the options are very, very readily available to you. It's kind of shocking, but that's just how it is right now. You actually have a few decent options for a few of the good characters in the game. There's always going to be a better tier to hit, but overall, I feel like we're kind of in a interesting place where a lot of characters can actually make do with a lot of the other options provided in this game. I think that also speaks a lot on just specifically how good Remembrance MC is, because Remembrance MC is almost a perfect slot in for every crit damage DPS in the game. And also we have Harmony MC, who is perfect for any break-centric character in the game. They've made our MC forms super, super helpful, and that means a lot when it comes to getting these good supports, because now you're not going to be as stressed because you always have a solid alternative available in your main character. But even then, looking down, like somebody like the Herda is just built to be pretty free-to-play friendly. She can make use of any erudition unit. We have Serval for free for almost all players. We have Herda for completely free. And then, if you want a bit stronger, you can get Jade, you can get a Nexa, but it's not required. Herda also works with a lot of different partners. Like, yeah, Tribby is going to be your preferred. You can also use Jiao Cho, you can use Pela. You can use a buffer if you want. You can use a Sunday, you can use a Sparkle. You can use an RMC on your Herda to get immense value out of her specifically. It's honestly not all black and white anymore. And while some people are going to be hearing this and think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I want to clarify, this is a very optimistic look at the game, because you still want the best teams possible, and those are always going to consist of your best characters, your premium characters. But there are actually options for a lot of the characters now. I know this was meant to be the more negative version of this video, but honestly, I just wanted to kind of get that little bit out, because it is actually insane to think about. When I started this video, I was expecting to be much more down in the dumps, much more negative, but that's not really the case as much. It's not great, mind you, but still, it is a much better spot than I kind of expected to be in. And that, I don't know, that deserves recognition. Hopefully someday I'll actually get to the more positive version of this video. Or if I think of anything else in the meantime to be negative about, because some of these characters, man, even with that good investment, they suck. But we're going to cut it off for today. I'm kind of rambling at this point, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Video, you know, not my best video, but also it was actually pretty fun to kind of look at, and this is something that I feel like just doesn't get talked about as much on the channel on YouTube. Unless I'm seriously missing somebody. So I just wanted to do it, try it out for a little bit, and yeah. Hope you guys look forward to more videos in the future. We're doing pretty well on subscribers and views now, so it's very much appreciated. I really appreciate all the support you guys are giving. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.